I know that we resonate so strongly in terms of the things that we teach and the things that we stand for in the world. And I also know that we have some shared perspective from different experiences that have taught us different things about love and life. And so I love this topic that you're going to be going into today on making love crisis proof. So first, let's just jump in there and share why you decided to choose this particular topic, and let's just take the conversation from there.
Yeah, thank you. As you said in my introduction, right, I've been through big time crisis. Not just my childhood and abuse I have experienced with my father, but at the age of 15, actual war started in my country. Bombs were falling. My twin sister and I were separated. My brother was 19 years old on front line. 4 years. He was on front line. My grandma's house was bombed while grandma was in the house. And she survived. And we still have one of the bombs that she used as a door holder.
A doorstop, yeah.
Doorstop, exactly. And my best friend died. So I became a refugee, war refugee, in a refugee camp by myself. No family, nobody I knew. And I had to grow up really fast and take the best out of it. So I actually ran away from the camp to become a nun. And that was another story of, spirituality and openness and heart and service and humility and all of these beautiful, compassionate things. To later in life, right, I was arrangedly married to a former priest. So I didn't know anything about flirting and becoming a woman that most of women here that listen, I hope, are single, right? And are learning who am I in the situation with men. And most of us have had some kind of crisis in life. And right now we are experiencing kind of global or a collective crisis, and they affect our relationships, they affect our mind, they affect how we talk, they affect maybe our jobs and children and so many things. It's all easy, hunky-dory, when everything goes well and your college is paid for and you're smart and beautiful. But when life slaps you on the face, and life will do it no matter what, that's when it comes to the skills. Am I going to sink or swim?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so absolutely. And I think so many of the listeners out there, not only are we going through this current crisis, but so many of the listeners out there have been through their own individual, personal crises, or maybe even going through one now in the midst of all of this. And so this idea of making love crisis-proof is a really powerful and beautiful idea. So let's talk about that a little bit more, like what that means and how we would do that.
Yeah. So to understand how we become crisis-proof for any crisis, disease, death, breakup, infidelity, job situation, what happens is our brain, everything in our life, the way we become, any little plant, I know I have lots of plants in my world, any life that happens starts with one cell dividing and fractioning to 2, to 4, to 8, from that original one. And in one little, do you see this new one coming up?
Mm-hmm.
In this one, a whole life is. In this one, there are leaves. There is a pattern that is here. And so it's in our lives. As we experience certain crises in the beginnings of our life, and we learn how to deal with them, that actually causes the pattern how we're going to deal with the future relationships, with the future problems. And it's almost like we are programmed that way. However, just like with a plant, I can let this grow now, or I can shape it to do something else, we can also shape our mind and our heart to respond. If you think about it, our body and our mind is the doer. It's like a bull, like an ox that pulls hard work. And our heart is the brave, it's creative, it's a curious, it's like a unicorn, like a surprise, like a magical lion that can be more flexible. Not everything has to be done by the pattern. So it's very important to first assess and analyze, who am I when the crisis happens? How do I deal with them? And what crisis really hit me to become evil and angry and mean and depressed, sad, frustrated, suicidal, whichever tendencies we may have, and which other kind of crisis or other situation make me more courageous, make me willing to help, make me step up, make me connect people together, make me be caring. We all have both. So first part is to really assess, where am I? How do I do it? And we can do that if we are single or we are in relationship. Because you can always look at my past. How did I deal with past relationships? That one aspect, maybe fear of infidelity or fear of not being good enough or something like that, has always bugged me. But I was always confident when it comes to something else. So we kind of see and assess our personal state of being. And by that, as we go deeper, we can have, so to say, relationship diagnostics.
Mm-hmm.
We can see how our relationship patterns can be and which way in our dealing requires more openness, more softness, more love, more attention. Just like my plants, they want to be watered. Maybe my heart needs to be watered. Maybe my brain needs to be watered. Maybe my physical touch reality needs to be cared for, right? There are many aspects. So I hope this answers your question, right? How do we do it? First, we assess where we are, the truth, honest truth, which could be painful, but there is light at the end of that. Then we go and figure out, I cannot swim in the crazy sea, but I can swim in the pool. Let me go to the pool until I practice.
Right. Well, I think when we're in the midst of crisis, it gives us an opportunity to really find out a little bit more about, if we go within and if we do this exploratory work that you're talking about, it gives us a chance to discover new things about ourselves and to discover maybe even strength that we didn't even really recognize or know that we had. Like some of your experiences, I know, when you share those experiences, we see that you had a lot of strength, and you may not have even known you had that strength until you went through some of those things. I can remember when I was going through cancer and I would go to my oncologist office for chemo, and there was a sign on the wall that said, you'll never know how strong you are until there is no other choice. And I would look at that every time I would go in for these chemo treatments, which felt very daunting and scary. And I would see that, and I'm like, this is the only choice that I have right now, because I'm doing what I know to do and what I feel is right to try to preserve and save my life.
Wow. And somebody could see that and not even like come and go. And you took it in. Bravo. So inspiring.
So in some ways, we have an opportunity, if you will, to discover those reserves within us that we might not have even known were there.
And there could be so many of them on different layers.
So for women that are wanting love, or maybe women that are in a relationship right now, How do we further extend this idea of making love crisis-proof?
Mm-hmm. Everyone who is older than 20 has been has faced the fact that you look at your situation and you get scared or make a meaning that means I'm not good enough, nobody loves me, I'm never going to have a man, some scary meaning, only to find out that you were wrong.
Yeah.
I had a client, oh my God, Michelle, she was probably 90 pounds, dying of cancer. In the last 2 or 3 weeks of her life, she sends me an email. She said, is it okay if I kiss 2 men in the same day? There were men showing out of nowhere to help her, to support her, to cook for her, to feed her, to wash her with love. Not just with, oh, you're useless, or I feel like I'm going to just help you because I'm a helper tone. No, these people adored her because she surrendered. She used to be a burlesque dancer, really sexy, very edgy, and she would just kick men left and right after, she chewed them and spit them out. And the cancer humbled her. And men just loved how soft she became.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And many of us have these abilities to find new ways and see how life is more friendly. And our idea, that means all men are blank. Well, actually, he is actually really cool. And he really actually cares. And before you know, you are surrounded with good men. So because we all had experience of us being badly wrong about the opinion and assessment of the world and how we relate to men, we are actually very often wrong about our ability, what crisis means. We create mental crisis out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
He's late home. He must be drinking in a bar with somebody. He comes home, worked too much, and came home with groceries. He never really had that infidelity kind of thing in mind that you had, right? So crises are often here. And when we learn how that part functions, that we have the pattern for certain crises, and we create what is not there, we can also learn how to uncreate and be present with reality, which is very often more beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
More beautiful than imaginary drama.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I think when there's a real crisis like is going on right now, it kind of puts in perspective that some of the other things that seemed like crisis even a few weeks ago were really not crisis. We were creating stories around something, like you gave the example of him coming home late. We were creating stories around things and creating crises in our mind that really weren't even there. They really weren't even real. And so perhaps that's another opportunity here, is for us to recognize that there are things that are real, like what's going on right now. And then there are like the created crises or the stories or the things that we come up with that create a lot of extra drama and a lot of extra stress in our lives and in our relationships that don't maybe necessarily need to be there.
Yeah. And as a creator of Receiving School, I have the whole program, Receiving School, teaching women how to remove the barriers to receptivity. And every time, 100% of the time, when we create mental crisis, we block ourselves and we cannot receive.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we think, but I want to receive, I want some more love, I want nice dates, I want fun stuff, I want to be pampered and spoiled. We cannot.
Because we go then into the protective mode, right? We
Yes.
go then into the protective mode where we don't allow,
Yes.
because we're not trusting. We're not able to be in that mode of receptivity and acceptance, and just because we've got our guard up, we've got those walls up.
Yeah, and wars and guard is not feminine. Feminine energy is receptive. Woman is made to receive, right? Our body is built to receive. What do? We receive the smallest cell of a male body, one sperm, or 300 million sperms. And what do? We multiply it and give back the whole baby. That's the power of a feminine woman. And when we create a crisis, and when we don't know how to be as a person, as a woman, as a lady, with kindness and class, when calamities happen, we will, when we need the most, in crisis, I need help. I need somebody to bring me groceries. I need help with my baby. I need help with maybe finances because the job I lost or something. Because of this whole crisis, inability to deal with crisis, we will block our opportunities to receive.
Mm-hmm.
We will not see them. We will stay like my cancer patient or my cancer client, like she did. She could not see anything until she surrendered. Mm-hmm. But it requires either a big slap from life or choice and consciousness. I am going to create now. This is the time of creation. What's happening right now, it's like lava erupting from volcano in Hawaii. What does lava do? Destroys and creates at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are just focusing on destruction and crying. But there is creation. So this is an invitation for us women. We are creativity people. We create. This is what we are meant to do. And this is our time now to not buy into our old patterns and stories of crisis, but to actually open, to figure out where we are, use our mental faculties, know what we are doing, and then soften so we can receive and be helped through, and therefore create new patterns. Men love me. I'm important. I matter. I feel safe. This life is beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really beautifully said. And I think there is, shall we say, in every crisis, there is a built-in opportunity. So there's this Chinese symbol for crisis, and the other meaning for it is opportunity. And so when we look at any crisis in our lives, whether it's this one we're experiencing as the collective, throughout the world, or whether it's our individual crises, if we look at where are the opportunities within that. And for me, I trust that there's divine in everything. And what I mean by that is I trust that all things can work for my good if I allow them to. So we have a choice in crises, right? And you've kind of alluded to this. We can become bitter. We can become angry. We can become cynical about life. We can shut ourselves off. We can shut ourselves down. That's one response to crises in our lives. Or we can allow it to open us up in new ways, and for us to discover new possibilities, new strength we didn't know that we had, new ways of being, that softening that you're talking about, that surrendering that we're talking about. And we can explore what new possibilities can grow from that. Like you said, the lava, it destroys, but it also creates. And so if we're focusing solely on the destruction, and we're focusing solely on what is different or what is lost or what no longer is, that can put us more on the side of going into fear and more into the side of going into maybe the cynical or the angry or the sad or depressed part of life, rather than looking at what are the creative opportunities here, what are the possibilities here that can help me to grow and expand and become more, and be a better person, a stronger person, a wiser person on the other side of this, which opens us up to more new possibilities in love and relationships.
Yeah. And when you were going through your cancer, just like when I was going through my war, I was 15 years old. Do you think I could sit and analyze what's good in it? Bombs falling. And you probably too, right? Did you feel both misery of cancer and what you were going through and hopelessness, and also a little bit of hope and a little bit of joy every once in a while, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are designed to feel everything. But then at some moments, you maybe stopped yourself from could you feel when you spiral down in your own misery, right?
I could, Helena. One thing I did though, when I was diagnosed with cancer and they mapped out the treatments, which were going to be daunting and last a couple of years. And at the beginning, I thought, I don't even know how in the world I can even make it through this, let alone survive the cancer. One of the decisions that I made, which served me really well, was I decided that I was going to be a being of love throughout this experience, meaning I was going to not take out my pain, my suffering, my sadness, my fear, my confusion around all of this on those that were closest to me, especially my husband, because I did not want to. I'd heard about relationships that had fallen apart as a result of the stress and strain that like a cancer diagnosis and a cancer journey can take on them. And I didn't want to be one of those couples, and I wanted to make sure that I was doing whatever I could to not only preserve what we had, but even possibly grow what we had into something more beautiful and strong. And yes, I had those days that were really, really bad days. But I feel like I was pretty much able to stay true to that intention that I set through the cancer journey. And so I did feel like as a result of that, the relationship with my husband in particular, and even with other people that I was blessed to be in contact with or who helped support me through cancer in one way or another, I felt like my relationships actually deepened and strengthened as a result of that. So there was that gift that came out of it. Now, would the cancer gift be a gift that I would gladly have given back to the world, the universe, if I could have skipped it? Yes. Like the world probably would have said, okay, no, thank you on this opportunity for growth. This gift is not a gift I want. And yet now here we are all with what we might call a gift. Yes. It's not a gift we wanted. We would give back this gift if we could.
Yeah,
and
but
yet,
we don't give it to anybody who we love.
Right.
We just give it back to the.
We just give it back to the universe.
And this is why you became such a good love coach. You are fully present. You understand people's suffering. You understand that there is another side. You understand the path to it. And you just take your clients by the hand and you walk them. And they can actually, with you together, feel better too. Because we need somebody who has been there. Mm-hmm. It's scary to do it by yourself.
It is scary. It is scary. And that's another thing that, is coming forward from this conversation. This is also an opportunity if we are used to operating in more of the masculine, where we kind of just feel like we've got it all controlled and we don't need anybody else and we don't need help or assistance or we don't need support. Maybe this is an opportunity to say, hey, you know what? Maybe I can be more open to offering that support to others and receiving that support in whatever way is possible right now. Because I think even though we're in this social distancing kind of mode, so to speak, we still long for that emotional connection, for that community. That's one of the reasons why I decided to still move forward with this event. Because it's
an important event right now.
Right. It's a way. Yeah, and it's a way for women, even though it's a virtual connection, it's a way for us to still be connected. Women throughout the world can still be part of something that's happening in real time right now that can potentially support them and give them tools and resources and things to think about that can make a difference in their love lives and in their lives, and help them to be that much more prepared to receive and be ready for the right guy when the right opportunity comes. And in the meantime, to be ready to weather this storm in a way that on the other side of it, because there will be another side of it, we don't know how that path is going to take, what that path is going to take, or the length of time, but there will be another side of it. And it's like, who are you going to be on the other side of this? Will this have been an opportunity for growth, or will this be that way of taking you down into discouragement, depression, bitterness? So it's an opportunity for us to use our minds, our hearts, and tap into that wisdom in a really creative way, maybe in a way we wouldn't have otherwise taken the time to do. Because how often, Helena, think about this, not only individually, but collectively, how often do we get a chance to kind of collect our breath and to say, okay, the world has given us an opportunity to slow things down a bit. Whether we wanted this gift or not, it's here. And
nobody knows, everybody is confused, and that's when the mind goes crazy. But if we know, okay, I want to, in this time, instead of being confused and not know this and find out this that nobody knows, right? I want to know a few things. What do I want to do with my body? I personally started doing Facebook Live every day at 8 o'clock a.m. Central. I'm doing 50 squats live. And then I'm going to do 100. Takes 3 minutes. But are you investing in your body, right? So I don't know this corona drama, but I know that I want to be a little healthier. So I'm doing 50 squats. That's it. I don't know what's going to happen with my mind, but I know that when I binge watch news, I feel scared and uncomfortable. But when I listen to Michelle and her amazing guests, I feel hopeful and optimistic, right? I don't know what about this, but I know when I go to bed, and before I go to bed, I massage my hands or massage my feet or take a breath, my mind is calmer. So we move from the panic of not knowing to the ease of knowing what we are designing. I'm designing my body. I'm eating. I'm feeding my brain with love information, right? I'm learning how to make myself and my relationships crisis-proof. I'm learning how to get to the right guy, not to the wrong, because I've been there 50 times. And this is how this unknowingness will actually weaken. War in Croatia lasted 4 years. And we really thought it's just going to be like 2 weeks. And then it's going to be maybe 2 more months. And then maybe 3 more months. We never believed it will be 4 years. But through the whole wartime, people made babies, people got married, people had connections, people celebrated life, people lived. And now it's a time to choose life. And this is the most beautiful thing you are doing. Seriously. You're giving people love. What is the most needed energy right now?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, and when we're in, we don't know how long this is going to last. You didn't know how long the war in Croatia was going to last. This was not anticipated. We didn't see this coming. I don't think as a whole we saw this coming.
Your cancer, how long did that will be? You didn't know if you were going to live or die. I didn't know if I was going to live or die. My best friend was dead.
Right. And when we live with that kind of uncertainty, it can be jarring and it can wear on us. And yet, if we can focus on some of the things that we do have control over, like you're talking about the body, taking care of our body, taking care of our minds, taking care of ourselves, I think this is a huge opportunity for self-care in a really deep and profound way, not only to strengthen the immune system, but because it also energetically builds us up and helps us to cope and to go through this with more grace and ease. And it's also, from my point of view, it's also like giving a message to the universe that you're worthy of being treated in that deep, profoundly loving, generous way. And you're almost modeling how you would want the right man to show up for you, where he treated you exquisitely and with great care and with great love and with great compassion. And so the opportunity to do that for ourselves, perhaps in a different way than we could have during just the normal everyday busyness of life, when we could not even find a second to stop and even think or catch our breath. Maybe there's
of complaining, all men are blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's an opportunity for us to be creative. And that's one of the gifts that I think most women have, is we have the ability to get creative in these kind of situations. Like, instead of focusing on what we've lost or what is no more or what is different, if we can focus on what is possible right now. And not, it's like Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now. The whole premise of this book is being present in the moment, and that so much of our suffering comes from us either focusing on what no longer is, or what has changed, or what are the disappointments from the past, or being so focused on what we hope will be or what we envision the future to be, that we're not fully embracing and being in the present moment. And yes, we may not have chosen this as our present moment, but it's here. And so what is possible within this present moment? And I think that's a question we can really explore and ask ourselves each day, each moment. What is possible? What creatively can I create? How can I be creative in this moment?
What can I be? There was a story of a woman who survived Auschwitz. And they asked her, what's your kind of story? How did you think you survived? And she said, I always had two things with me. One thing was a tiny piece of bread that I was looking for somebody who needed it more than me, and I would give them. And every time I would give them bread, they would smile and lit up and get another hope for another day. So she was propagating life, which is the feminine energy. We give life. And another thing she had with her was an old broken little piece of comb. And she would comb her hair every day to affirm myself. This was to affirm others, and this was to affirm love, and this was to affirm me and affirm love. And this is why I curled my hair for you. To affirm myself for you, for your all of wonderful ladies listening, right? There is really stress there. Think about Auschwitz stress, not comparable to our stress at all. And think about geniusness of creativity. I'm going to save one piece of bread. I'm going to give one smile to somebody. I'm going to call my old friend. I'm going to post something beautiful on Facebook to my friends thing. I'm going to water my plant to affirm life. And second thing, I'm going to continue affirming myself. I'm not going to give up on my body, on my health. I'm not going to binge watch Netflix and eat chips all day long and gain weight and later have to deal with being sick. I'm going to learn how to online date. I'm going to learn how to flirt. I'm going to learn how to keep my booty in shape. I'm going to learn how to be a woman that loves what she sees in the mirror, that loves the friends she has. And this is how I'm going to make my being stronger when it comes to next level crisis or next opportunity of crisis, because it will happen.
Yeah.
In 20 years from now or wherever, life will happen. And this is really the best thing ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think this has been a really, really important conversation, Helena. I think it's really timely, and I think it's really important, and I think it gives maybe a reframe or a perspective that might be really helpful to some of the women out there, because things are different than they were a few weeks ago. I mean, that's just the truth. And yet we do have this opportunity. Like I started with, the other side of crisis is opportunity. There's both within this moment, and who we are going to be or how we're going to evolve as we come through this and as we come out of this will prepare us and will set us up to more successfully be ready for the right relationship and to make love crisis proof the next time a crisis comes around, if we use this opportunity wisely, if we use this opportunity in a way that makes us stronger and makes us wiser, and where we do use that creativity, and where we do use this opportunity to gain the wisdom and the gifts that are in this experience. Because and I know, because we've both been through some crises in our lives, and I know so many of the women out there also had their own individual crises before this one occurred, and maybe going through something now. But we all know, with a little bit of hindsight and with a little bit of perspective, in most cases you can see that there were also gifts in that. There was new wisdom, new compassion, new ability to love in a deeper, more profound way, or things that taught you lessons that you might not have received or been able to take in any other way. And so while we don't always look forward to them or want them or welcome them in our lives, it's such a great opportunity to create what is possible and create something beautiful from the place that we are right now, by being in this moment and looking what's possible.
And a Greek word for judgment is crisis. So it's time now to analyze, judge, reassess your situation, your life, your femininity, your truth. It's the time of decision. It's really beautiful. Everything is given to us. We just have to stop being too much stressed because we cannot receive the truth. We have to turn off TVs and calm down and do some walk, connect with other women, and then we can make very clean, feminine, truthful, and calm judgment of what is going on, and be very extremely attractive to a nice guy. Pardon, right man. I don't want to call them nice guys. Right man.
Right. Yeah, that's right. The right man, meaning the man who does treat you and with that deep level of respect and care and love that you feel loved and cherished by, and that you respect and feel safe with.
And build something together, so that together your ship will survive future crises.
That's right. That's right. So, Helena, I love our conversation. I always love our connection. And I want to give you a chance, just before we wrap up, to say any final pieces of advice or wisdom, or just whatever is present for you to share with our audience.
Yeah, I think I often share wisdom from my Croatian grandmother, who survived all kinds of crises in life. Second World War, she was born right after First. She survived Second, terrible husbands, Croatian War, husband one, all kinds of problems. And I asked her when she was 90, I said, Grandma, if you had to live your life over again, same life again, what would you change? And you can change one thing. What would you change? She said, I would worry less. I said, wouldn't you have a different husband or skip a war? She said, no, my worry gave me way more problems than they did.
Wow, I love that.
I would worry less. And very often she would say, life is hard, but everybody wants to live it. Love is hard sometimes, but everybody wants to experience it. So don't give up on you, ladies. Right now is the time. Let's get out of this more delicious, more confident, more truthful, more honest, more authentic, softer, sweeter, wiser. Because this is our feminine power.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And thanks to your Croatian grandmother, may she rest in peace.
She definitely is. She's not worried anymore.
No more crisis for her.
She's done.
I do love that wisdom, though. I think that's so powerful because so much of what we suffer comes from the worries and the thoughts and everything in our mind. And with a lifetime of what she went through, some really serious, real crises, I love that that's the advice that she gave. That's really beautiful. So that's a beautiful place to end, and I'm so glad you shared that.
Always.
So ladies, Helena and I are both so grateful that you're here. We're grateful for your presence because it speaks to you being the kind of woman who really wants extraordinary love and an extraordinary life. And so we honor you for that. And we're grateful for this connection and for this global community of women. And we send love and blessings. And bye-bye for now.
Much love.